Hello and welcome to my channel on human design. Today we have a lot of very powerful questions, so I won't waste time. I will get straight into it because there are things to be said and things to be thought about. We begin with a young 1-3 projector, and this is the question. So Rostrom asks, Dear Richard, I'm a 1-3 self-projected projector with one channel activated, the 1333. And knowing that projectors are the next guides of humanity, and the fact that I'm young and I'm here to fulfill that role in the future, makes me worried about the people in this world and how the resources are going to be distributed, starting from 2027. Will society be more capitalist, socialist, communist? Is a state going to disappear as a result of institutions being dissolved? And he goes on to say, well, it's very confusing, and who's going to care for the poor? Is capitalism going down and the West is in retreat and China's coming up? So, he has various worries about the future. And the final comment was, I wonder if Ra mentioned something similar. Okay, Rostrom. So the first thing is, don't panic. Remember, you've got an open route. Remember, you've got an open spleen. And you're not here to look into the future. You're here to look back to where you've been. The 1333, this is a channel that is about seeing what happens. It's being a witness. It's the prodigal that goes out to different lands and learns new things and then comes back and tells the tribe what they've found. It isn't a planning channel. So the first thing I would say is don't worry. The second thing I would say is don't worry about things that don't concern you. You are here to gain experience from listening to people, from finding your own way through people, for being invited into places where, you didn't expect to go, but you said yes to because it was appropriate, and away you go. I mean, I've lived in lots of different countries, including countries that, if you speak against the government, you're reported and thrown in jail, or worse. I've seen attempted revolution fail badly because they didn't have enough people. I've lived in all kinds of societies and I've done my own thing. I found a way through. Understanding the way it is and then operating appropriately for that and for yourself, you can get through most things. So I'm not worried about the future in that way. If I can't be a free human being, then I will go somewhere where I can be freer. I will find a way. I am confident that I will find a way because I always have, against the odds. So it doesn't worry me. And in terms of the future, yeah, you can say in the 55-6, there's going to be this selfishness, everyone looking after themselves. That's what Ra said. But I want you to understand that the 55-6 doesn't stay there. It moves to the 55-5, to the 55-4. There's a movement that happens. Life is movement. We're not set in a fixed pattern. We are beholden to the fixed pattern in the transits because of the wheel and the movement. But the whole point of human design is to free people up to make their own particular decisions about which way they go in life. And that is the same for you as for most people. You have self-projected authority. So it's not for you to worry about the whole world and what part you're going to play. It's for you to follow what you're invited to understand who you are in relation to other people, to understand more about them, which you certainly will. I mean, you're going to have to, and you will, which will give you a better idea about how you can guide and what you want to guide in. I mean, it's endless, the number of things you can get involved in terms of helping the people. I mean, this may have been no interest to you, but it might be. There may not be a strong interest in archaeology at the moment, but it is a rich source of information that can be useful to us in the present if you go deep enough. So, you're a 1-3. You're here to find out where you're weak, to find out where you're strong, and where you can guide as a result of that. So don't try and plan it all out. That it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And don't be too worried about the the governments and everything. The people will find a way. Those people that have the ability to operate according to themselves will find a way. I've got no doubt about that. So chill. And in terms of, did Ra say anything similar? You know, Ra described things according to what he knew at that time. And he was very wise in so many things. But, you know, his predictions about what might happen, you know, specifically, were not always correct. You know, he didn't think Apple had a chance of success, and, you know, basically Apple should just step down and let Microsoft take over. Well, that wasn't right. That didn't prove to be the case. So he was just a man. You know, if you project on Ra that he was all-seeing, all-knowing, knew everything that was going to happen, then you're being caught in a projection screen. You know, we can see it generally, but specifically, it's your life. It's each of our lives to make the correct decisions for ourselves, to go in the direction that is correct for us. That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. How things unfold, there'll be many opportunities in the breakdown, and there will be many things that will come up when things have broken down that haven't been allowed to come out during the regimes we've had. And the people are not happy. And when the people are not happy for long enough and they see the truth of things, many good things are going to happen. So I don't think about it in doom and gloom, quite the opposite, actually. Okay, that's what I have to say to you. I hope that was helpful. And the next question is from Love Tanil C. And this is their question. I have a question related to undefined solar plex and emotions. I'm a 4-1 ego manifester with ego, G center, and throat defined, and only a hanging gate 37-3 in my unconscious Mars. My solar plex is undefined. I'm not generally an emotional person, however, I do experience some emotions and feelings. From my understanding, those with open or undefined solar plex only take on the emotions of others, or our emotions are amplified by the emotions of others. How is this the case when I do experience my own emotions and feelings, and sometimes when I'm alone? Are they not mine? Sometimes I feel down, sometimes I feel joy and happiness and peace and anger too, of course. Sometimes I'm touched and moved to tears by beautiful things. Also, I'm watching a movie that's touching or emotional, I'll feel emotions. If I'm by myself or alone when I experience certain emotions, how does that relate to the idea that we only amplify the emotions of others? Also have trouble feeling love for some people I do love and care about. E.g., my partner is an MG with emotional authority, and he says he feels a love in his heart, body towards me. However, I have a hard time connecting with that feeling in my heart, body, myself, though I know I do love him. Do you think that I have a hard time feeling this love due to my undefined solar plexus or anything else in my chart that I've described? Many thanks, and we all appreciate you and your videos. Thank you for that question, Love to Neil C. I've talked about the open solar plex a number of times in a number of different ways. And it needs to be understood in its truth rather than as you may experience it in the moment. It takes time for the open centers to empty out. And I should know I have a completely open solar plex. And you are not the first one that's asked me questions about that, about the open solar plex. So it is an important issue. But I want you to understand that over time, what you think of as your own feelings and do begin to go. You are basically here to take in the emotions of others and filter them. And in your case, filter them through the gate of love in the 37-3 in the line of even-handedness. And so this is about the appropriate behavior in a relationship when it comes to transgressions, to behave in a balanced way. I love this particular frequency in the 37. It's a gate of great affection, and it's there to teach you about love and about being in the relationship with others. So there are many things you're here to learn about it. But your own feelings, or what you're calling your own feelings, are probably in reaction to there not being the right responsibility, the right behavior in relationships. All the pain that you can catch in there, that you see around you or experience yourself, that's part of the whole learning process. It's not the end of the game. I know when you're watching something moving, tears may come through you. It's not easy for an open emotional person to cry in the way that it is an emotional person. Sometimes it's very relieving to cry for us. That doesn't mean you are immune from feeling through what you think about in the emotions. You're going to be full of different things that have hurt you, different things that have lifted you up in your experience of feelings around other people. And when you're alone, the mind can go in there and amplify them in yourself, and you focus on that. And then you're going to feel whatever the feelings were at the time. And again, and again, and again, and again, and more layers of that will be coming on top, because that becomes a burr in your aura that will catch onto those things. And you will feel about that particular thing, just like this particular thing and that particular thing. So yeah, over time, this doesn't happen. Over time, there is a clarity that can come. And in your case, the clarity in terms of what I've described in even-handedness. So you're not generating emotion, you're not creating emotion. You can see that in your body graph. But that doesn't mean the mind can't go in there and disturb the hell out of you whenever you feel into a particular idea or a particular thing that's happened, and your reaction to it. And then you're going back again and again and digging it all up again. So that's what I will say. It takes time. It's not an easy thing to let go of all that. Remember, any awareness center is going to hold on, and letting go of it, we think it's us, we think we're emotional, so we're going to hold on, and we think it's important that we are, and we have every right to feel that way or whatever. But over time, a different thing happens, and you'll have to wait until you move through your own process. But I can assure you, there comes a point when you can see clearer the emotional field outside you and what your mind is brewing up inside you. It takes time. So that's really all I can say on that one at the moment. Except even-handedness isn't a bad filter to filter the emotions with. That's a pretty good one. And the next question is from a regular, Alvis. And the question is, I'm glad that someone brought up the digestion topic in the last video. I've been trying to figure it out ever since I found my digestion type in HD. And more recently, I've been wondering how much it influences me physically and in terms of health, and how much of what I feel when I eat might be connected to my digestion. I'm a 30-year-old 6'2" projector with direct light digestion. Not great when the sunlight hours are very short in the winter. It makes a lot of sense because I always had more appetite during the day. I felt better when eating during sunny days. More recently, in my late 20s and now my 30s, I feel it a lot more strongly. And it's actually been affecting my stomach and gut health a lot, I think, when I eat at night. It is if, like, my digestion gets slower or weaker at night, I might get stomach ache, etc., almost instantaneously, depending on what I eat at night. I've also found recently that hypnothyroidism, which is supposed to slow my metabolism, So I wonder if my digestion problems are related to that as well. Still, the differences I feel in my digestion are literally day and night. I've heard that our digestion type is just the ideal for us and it shouldn't be mandatory. So it's not like I am allergic to eating at night, but it does affect me a lot recently. Could it be a health problem, or can the digestion type really affect us this much? And I know you're not a doctor, Richard. No, I'm not a doctor. Could I give some insight into it from my own experience? Yes, Alves, I could, because I am also direct light as the medium through which I should digest food. It is very important to the working of the body. And when people say it shouldn't be mandatory, there's a lot I don't think should be mandatory, but you suffer as a consequence. So if you eat at night, or if I eat at night, then the food doesn't digest so well. It sits in the stomach. And yes, you're right. It's very difficult in winter for people like you and me to get through it. It's not easy. It really isn't. And yet in the summer, we really thrive. So it is very important. And it's also important to understand what it's related to. So light as the frequency for us to eat, it also makes us more sensitive if we do eat in our own day or night, whatever it is. So when I'm eating in the day and I make that a real priority, I become more sensitive, which is a double-edged sword. But certainly I become more sensitive with my design on what is not me and how I'm about being affected by the outside. It makes me more sensitive to who I am and how my body is. So it's a progressive thing and it takes time. So yeah, I would take it seriously, and especially with light, holding to that, more seriously than you are already will produce benefits for your digestion and for your health. What it has for me. So I would say stay with it, and just because it's a bit weird, don't go, well, maybe I don't have to. You're not a nocturnal, and stay with it. There is a certain benefit with light to stay with it. For some of the others, not so much, but for light, it's important. So take it more seriously is my answer to that, and you will find out for yourself. And give yourself a good amount of time, at least 6 weeks to see the difference when you stick at it every single day. And yeah, wait till summer or the spring to make it easier. I tried to do it in November when they asked us to experiment. It was terrible. So yeah, it's much easier in spring and summer. Okay, thank you for the question. Our next question is from Violetta. And her question is, if you're doing more viewer questions, would you mind talking a bit more about the Chiron return? It seems to have this judgment aura around it. Mine is next year, and it feels like if I haven't lived my design until now, which I didn't, it marks the beginning of the end. Is it that gloomy and no choice? No, it isn't that gloomy and no choice. Chiron is a time of healing. It's a time of change. Now, I don't know what your profile is, whether it's a 6th line or not, but if it's a 6th line, this counts even more. So it's not about being gloomy. It's about a time of flowering and healing. So you will have things come up in Chiron. There will be a certain chaos that it brings. It's a transitionary phase. So yeah, things will come up. But if you deal with them with authenticity, actually you deal with them and heal from them, which gives you more energy to flower in your own unique way. If you take that attitude, I think you'll do much better. It's not all doom and gloom, but you do have to face up to what you do have to face up, and this is the time to do it, and the planets will help you. For many going through Chiron, yeah, it can be a bit bit like this, you know, as things start rearranging, you've got to be able to let things go. You've got to be able to walk into your future as yourself. And these things open up the world for you. And many six-line beings that I know who have done that have had a whole complete change in their life. I mean, like day and night, you know, where it's like, whoa, never expected to be here. What fun this is. So it's not all doom and gloom. That's my answer. All right, then. So the next question is from the Allure Academy. And the question is, hi, Richard. Thanks for sharing your deep insight. I'm a PRL DRR 46MG. That's a nice bit of code, isn't it? Sometimes I feel zapped of energy when I'm looked in trying to figure out things with my mind or get my brain and body actively doing something. On the other hand, when I spend time resting or interacting with my creativity, it feels like I'm working on sunshine, and I see how tuned I become. Now, there's a contrast between having this variable and having the 3420 channel of charisma in both design and personality nodes, making me feel like I need to be busy all the time. How do I find the right balance with these two, especially being in a strategic world as a right being? Thank you. So for those of you who are not familiar with the variables, this is basically someone with a receptive body, passive and receptive body, and also a passive mind, but the view is focused, and it sees what it sees. So the view is focused, and it's really looking to do something. The active side is the view, what needs to be done. And I think that kind of answers your question in terms of why it's going on. And when you have one variable or one arrow, which is different from the other three, it really can get in the way. It can really get in the way. You're an MG, okay? So you're capable of doing a lot, but that doesn't mean that your body wants to be very active in it. So when you're busy just taking in the sunshine or doing what you want to do, this is a natural state. You know, when people come and ask you questions and they draw from the depths you don't even know, that's when it becomes useful. Your doing, whatever that may be, will have benefit for others as well, by the way. I mean, look at what I'm doing right now. My capacity to be busy includes my ability to be able to speak to you every week. So there are benefits from having the energy that you have, but don't get lost in thinking you need to be busy. It has to come from response. And there is a big response in the 34. It's not a small response. It's the greatest sacral power that there is. So, you know, it may be busy looking at something or taking something in that you're really interested in. That's you being busy. You don't have to go on a march. You don't have to run around the place doing stuff. So I would just relax in that. And it's almost like getting into the state you need to get into. Let the body show you. Let the body show you is what I would say. And see what happens. And forget about having to be busy. We don't have to do anything. What we need to do is wait for the response, and then the activity will follow. It's a manifesting generator channel, and that activity could be involved sitting down looking at something. And your other question, how do I get in balance with this? Simply follow the body, not the mind, not the view, not where you think you should be going or you think you should be doing. Just follow the body, and balance will come. It's a big thing to expect balance when one is in the middle of processing what's going on and processing the information of human design. One has to be patient. One has to be patient, and it all sorts itself out in time. No hurry. We cannot hurry. It doesn't work that way. Okay, thank you for the question. The next question is from a regular, Miss Galada. If you would like to, can you share us, please, something more about the beings which have a projector split? I am personally one of these generators. I feel a lot of empathy towards projectors, and spreading awareness about their difference has been somehow my motor to continue my interest in HD. I found myself describing my dream job lately, and while watching this video, I had understood that it was more likely to be a guiding position where I can see myself happy. A lot of rejection before I discovered HD, and it felt tough even with my sacral defined. The projected channel is a 1762, and she also gave a wave and thanks to all the projectors. So, Miss Galada, it's a split. I don't know how the split is where the sacral energy is, so I can't speak to it. But in terms of the split, you have a 1762. It is a great teaching mind. It is a great mind to be able to guide people into understanding things based on the facts, based on the reality. You know, what is the projection through logic about, you know, what others could do with their energy for their best future. So it's a great guiding channel. And it may well be part of your life, part of your career. Could be guiding, could be teaching, could be bringing understanding to people in all kinds of ways. And again, without seeing the chart, I can't really put flesh on the bones. But ultimately, it's going to depend upon if your energy responds to it. I don't care how great the idea is, you know, about where you think it might lead. It's like, is there energy for one particular thing, for a particular thing for you to do to get into that guiding position? Is there a response? And that's the difference between a projector and a split definition generator with a projector channel. You need to pay attention to the response. If the energy is there, great, it'll get you there. If the energy isn't there and the idea is a great idea, you still won't get there. So follow the energy, follow the response. And yeah, I think putting that very useful mind out there in the world to help people would be a natural fit to you. But in what way? It's a matter of response. Thank you for the question. And the final question for this week is from Aware Form. And the question is, I have a question about the fifth line projections. Are the projections placed on a fifth line person different if the 5 is conscious versus unconscious? For example, could the projections on a 5-2 be more directed towards the person's personality, and the projections on the 3-5 be more on the form or the body? Or are they the same, but it's just a matter of if the person is aware that they are happening or not? It's a good question, and it is really a matter of where the fifth line is. So if it's a 3-5 and they are unaware of the fifth line body that they have, and they're walking down the road, you know, people are going to be looking at them. They may not be aware of people looking at them, but they're going to be looking at them all the same. If it's a fifth line personality, such as a 5-1 or a 5-2, then yeah, it's really about what people are projecting upon them, the expectations they're projecting upon that person based on their personality, based on what they person themselves are conscious of. So for example, if we combine this question with the last question, let's say we have a 5-1 with the 1762, and they put out their ideas, their logical ideas. Some people are not going to like it, and other people think, yes, that's what I should do. It's a projection. And yes, if you've got it consciously, you're more aware of the projections, and it tends to make you more paranoid in a way about, like, you know, what are they projecting on me? So it works like that. You'll be more aware of the body if it's a fifth line body. So that's a nice one to finish up on. Thank you very much for all your questions. I love the variety, the diversity, and yeah, I never know what I'm going to get, which is what I also enjoy. So thank you very much. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back again very soon with something completely different. Bye for now.